Trevor, this started out as a decent Jameis Winston game. It didn't have to be a Jameis Winston game. It felt like that at least. But Dirk Cutter praised his effort in the first half, said he hasn't seen him much more accurate during the season.
I thought Jameis was fine. You know, he had the one interception that you don't like, certainly, but throughout the game, given how aggressive the Ravens were on defense, the weather certainly, not only that it was rainy, but it was cold. You know, you could tell all of the wide receivers just looked really uncomfortable all day long, but Winston was still, for the most part, putting the ball where he needed to. And so this game's not on him at all, I don't think. I know they had a couple of deficiencies when it came to third downs in the second half, not being able to sustain drives. Sure, you maybe want a couple of throws back, maybe some things that he could have done better, but certainly I thought Jameis had a fine day. He is far from what the reason why the score did not go in favor of the Buccaneers.
Bucs came here, it looked like they were going to make a conscious effort. They're going to run this thing today, and I think the weather conditions and the defense they were facing had a lot to do with that. Peyton Barber wound up with 85 yards. He ran well early, and it just got less and less and less, and they weren't in a position where they had to pass that much.
Yeah, and it's tough because the formula for them going into this game really should have read, hey, we've got to get the ball first. They did, although it was because they lost the toss. They didn't actually get to choose that themselves. But so they got the ball first, and the thought had to have been, we've got to score early. They didn't do that. They didn't do that at all. In fact, it was, I think the game started 5 straight punts for both teams. And so just a really ugly game. And again, you know, they're professionals. Everybody's got to play these outdoor weather games every now and then. So you've just got to be able to execute, but it made it really hard because the game plan for the Buccaneers had to be, we're going to attack through the air, we're going to score early and often, we're going to make Lamar Jackson a thrower. And they were not able to do that enough in this game. The Ravens just were able to play the aggressive style of defense that they wanted, and they were just able to pound that ball all game long, control the entire game. I think they had 2 drives of over 7 minutes on both their drives, and that was a killer.
Baltimore comes out in the third quarter. They drive the field on one of those long drives you mentioned. The Bucs need an answer. They can't get it. They punt. They get a gift, a muffed punt, and they cannot convert that into a touchdown. How important was that sequence in your opinion?
Oh, it was monumental. They have to score there. You know, you can't have, you know, I'll just take it back to when they played the Saints, right? The Saints get their special team momentum swing. They were able to convert it into a touchdown, and they took that momentum the entire rest of the game, won the dang thing. And so that's what you've got to do if you're the Buccaneers. When you get gifts like that, has to be 6. It's got to be 6. And that's kind of a message that I was preaching at the beginning of the year for this team. There was a kind of a movement that I called and other fans called. It's called gotta get 6, right? You can't just stop in the red zone. You can't settle for 3 points. You've got to get 6 points, and that would have been the difference in this game if they were able to do that.
Trevor, defensively in this game, they knew exactly what was coming. Lamar Jackson and that Ravens running attack. And you know what? It did okay for the first half. They went in there, they were in this game, and then slowly but surely that Ravens running attack took over.
That's the thing. It just chips away at you, right? I mean, it's like you've got him contained, you're forcing some punts, but then if you don't get up on the scoreboard, the more times they can run it, that's how they're comfortable. You know, Lamar Jackson won the Heisman for a reason, all right? You know, if you don't make him throw the ball, if you don't take away his legs, you know it's going to hurt you eventually. And Lamar, again, over 100 yards rushing for him. And just throughout the day, they were not able to take away his legs. And what you have to do is on a defense, you've got to make it so, and the scoreboards help. The offense has got to help him out too a little bit there, but you've got to make it so the legs aren't as much of an option. Throughout the entire day, his arsenal of how the Ravens love to beat you, that was always there. Whether it was handing it off to the running back, run-pass option with Lamar Jackson, easy throws to the tight end. There was never a point where any of that was taken away. And whenever you've got a triple threat like that, which a team is very comfortable with, it's really hard to stop them.
Were you disappointed in the third down conversions were there for Baltimore in this game, but it was really those third and medium third downs, those 3rd and 4s. They converted a few of those that it looked like the Bucs may have had them wrapped up. Not the 3rd and 1s where they would just gain 4 yards.
Yeah.
It was those medium third downs they could not convert for the Bucs defense.
He's slippery, you know. He's good. He's really good, and unfortunately, you know, you want to make sure that you limit those kinds of plays where you think you got them and then you don't. You want to make sure there's as little of those as possible. But kind of as a coach, you got to think 1 or 2 times a game this guy's going to do this. It's just kind of who he is. But really, I think, like you said there, those third and mediums, and I'll even stretch it to 3rd and 8, 3rd and 6, where they did have to pass the ball. They converted a lot of those, right? You can't get in the ideal situations if you're the Bucs defense and still let them convert. You've got to be able to put them in the situations that make them the most uncomfortable and then get off the field. They were not able to get off the field, and like we said before, 2 drives that were over 7 minutes long. That's just, not only from an energy standpoint, it's demoralizing to have an offense impose their will like that for so many plays. It just makes it tough, and it's not only mentally tough, but, you know, again, cold today, wet today, they were already uncomfortable, then you kind of get mentally frustrated. It was a bad recipe for this defense.
We make it sound like it was just not a good day defensively. I mean, they go 10 points and 10 points in a half, and Levante David was terrific. He dominated one series for this team and did it all day long, and the linebackers were once again depleted.
Yeah, no, Levante was fantastic. And you know who else was great? Vita Vea was great. Right off the bat, he had 2 big run stops in their first couple of series. I believe he had 9 tackles on the day. He was kind of all over, showing all that kinds of energy. And so you really like that from both of those guys. One of them, you kind of expect it. He's a veteran. He's the guy who's got to step up. And the other one, he's your first-round rookie. Dirk Hutter said he's being more and more comfortable as the year goes on. And so it was great to see good production from both those guys.
And the defensive backfield, it seemed that they were also locked in on this discipline of having to watch Lamar Jackson. I mean, there were receivers, they weren't really open today, the receivers for the Ravens, I thought, but they are still in charge of maintaining that Jackson running lanes. They chased him to the sideline often. I thought it was an okay day for the defensive backs.
I mean, like you just said, 10 points and 10 points. You've got to be able to make sure that holding them to 20 in this day and age in the NFL is enough to get it done. Offense wasn't able to do that.
All right, Trevor, good stuff as always.